Welcome to this whistle-stop introduction to implementation science. We will talk about what implementation is, why to use implementation science, implementation plans, enablers, barriers and strategies, theories, models and frameworks, and evaluating implementation. Each topic is covered briefly, and a link to further reading provided in the recommended reading list below the video link. What is implementation? Implementation is the process of putting evidence-based things into practice in real-world settings. It's not just about discovering what works in theory. It's about making it work sustainably and effectively in practice. We call what is being implemented the thing. This saves any confusion or dispute over what it is. Implementation science is the field that studies the methods and approaches that help bridge the gap between research and practice. It asks, how do we get proven interventions, programs, or policies into practice and ensure they are sustainable? For example, imagine a new health intervention that has shown to be effective in clinical trials. Implementation science helps us to roll it out across different communities, ensuring it's accessible, acceptable, and maintained over time. So why use implementation in research? Why should researchers care about implementation? Because even the most promising things can fail if they're not delivered properly. It's not enough to know that something works. We need to ensure it works in practice and is feasible for the people delivering and receiving the thing being implemented. Implementation helps ensure that research findings translate into real and impactful change. It supports the uptake and fidelity of the thing being implemented, ensuring it is delivered as intended and sustained over time. This ensures that research is not only academically rigorous, but also relevant to communities, services and systems. In this way, we can ensure that the research is translated into practice and can have significant impact on communities. An implementation plan outlines how a thing will be delivered. It's your roadmap from intention to action. It includes who will do what, when, and how. A good plan considers the context of the implementation space and identifies key stakeholders. It sets out clear steps for training, support, and monitoring. For example, if you are implementing a new digital tool, your plan might include staff training sessions, IT support, and regular feedback loops. Importantly, the plan should be flexible. Implementation is rarely linear. Things change, and plans have to adapt. Having a structured approach supported by effective feedback loops helps keep everyone aligned and minimizes disruption if the plan has to be amended. Let's move on to enablers, barriers, and strategies. Enablers are factors that support success, like leadership, buy-in, strong communication, or a culture of innovation. Barriers are obstacles such as limited resources, staff turnover, or resistance to change. One of the first steps in implementation is identifying these early. We use implementation strategies to mitigate barriers and enhance enablers. These might include stakeholder engagement, training programs, policy change, or incentives. For example, if staff are resistant to a new approach, a strategy might involve co-designing the intervention with them, so they feel ownership and understand its value. Implementation science provides evidence-based tools to navigate complexity and increase the chances of success. So moving on to theories, models, and frameworks. To guide implementation, we use theories, models, and frameworks, TMFs. These help us to structure how we complete the implementation. There are a large number of TMFs that support us in addressing different aspects of the implementation process. They are all evidence-based, but mostly implementers rely on a few go-to TMFs. For instance, CFIR, the Consolidated Framework for Implementation Research, helps identify contextual factors like organisational culture, readiness for change, and external pressures. REAIM focuses on evaluating reach, effectiveness, adoption, implementation, and maintenance. These are two popular and well-tested TMFs. Additionally, TMFs bring structure and clarity to complex processes. They help us ask the right questions, design better interventions, and learn from what works and what doesn't work. Using a TMF doesn't mean being rigid. It's about having a structure to guide the implementation journey, as well as having a way to communicate it clearly. Evaluating implementation. Evaluation is essential. Implementation doesn't just ask, did it work? But also how, why, and for whom. Implementation evaluation looks at both the process and the outcomes of the implementation. Frameworks like Proctor's implementation outcomes include acceptability, feasibility, fidelity, and sustainability, which help us measure the success of the implementation. Evaluation tells us whether the thing was delivered as intended, whether it reached the right people, and whether it's likely to last. It also helps us learn and improve. If something didn't work, evaluation helps us understand why and what to do differently next time. Evaluation should be built into the implementation plan from the start, and it is an important consideration in any implementation process. The process of the implementation should always be designed with evaluation in mind. So to finish, in summary, implementation science helps us move from knowing to doing. It ensures that research leads to real-world impact, not just in theory, but in practice as well. Planning carefully, addressing barriers, using frameworks, and evaluating outcomes ensures that evidence-based things are implemented and sustained. In this way, we can improve outcomes for people across a wide range of disciplines. Areas such as health, social care, education, and justice all benefit not just from discovering what works, but by making it work for real people in real settings. You can even use implementation methods to plan your research. So whatever stage your career as a researcher is at, or whether you move into policy or practice later on in life, implementation science gives you the tools to turn good ideas into sustainable change with improved social impact.